Welcome, conscious creators, to week one, knowledge of self. And today we're going to be discussing discovering your three core values, reflecting on what truly matters to you. We're also going to be exploring inner astrology, and we're also going to be talking about decoding your natal chart to understand your life path and personality. We'll also touch up on some of your strengths and ways that you can grow and some things that you need to highlight. Next, we'll be talking about choosing a self discovery practice. And some of those may include writing, it may include some arts and crafts, and it also may include some practices like mindfulness, meditation, walking, things of that nature. So, these are just the things that we're going to cover in today's discussion. So, let's just jump right into it. We're going to start off with our core values. Now, I didn't put the definition to core values in this slide, although I feel as though I should because I can't assume that everybody knows what the real definition of core values is. So I pulled it up on my screen just so you all could see it. And here's the definition. Core values are the principles and beliefs that guide a person or organization's actions. Now, to me, this is really important because when you really think about this definition, it's giving you the blueprint to how you need to live your life and the direction you need to take. So it says that these are the principles and the beliefs that guide a person. So your principles are going to be the foundation, the things that dictate right from wrong. Your beliefs are going to be how you perceive the world. It's going to be a lot of the things that you've been taught, a lot of the things that you have been more than likely conditioned to believe. So if we don't really have a solid understanding of what it's rooted in, then we take the course of what society wants us to do. And that really looks like what everybody ends up doing: getting a job, buying a house, having a family, and just really living the American dream, I should say. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't want anybody to think that, having that life or achieving for that life is wrong. But I think that in 2025, with the urgency that we have to really help humanity, to help others, we should strive to live more in purpose and intention. And I'm not saying that you can't do that while simultaneously working a 9 to 5 or a career, but I do feel as though you're tugging. It's like trying to serve two masters. And me, I'm a firm believer in really serving one master, and that one master is the higher self, the universe, the collective. And when we do that, it makes our lives a lot more easier. It flows a lot more better. So, this is why I wanted to show you all the core values definition because I don't want anybody to think that, core values are not essential. And also, another point that I want to touch upon is when you talk about the core is the center of all things. And when you think about how things manifest or how they spread, everything spreads from a core. So if we want to grow, we want to expand, it all starts with what our core values are. So this is why core values is the foundation to where we want to go, what we want to achieve, and what we want to become. So some of those core values can be financial autonomy, it could be time, it could be freedom, it could be family, it could be companionship, it can be experiences. I want you guys to decide on what those core values actually are and what they mean to you. I don't want the core values to be something that's thoughtless. It has to be something that's actually aligned with where you see yourself in the next year, 3 years, 5 years, and how do you feel? And sometimes these core values can change, guys. I don't want you to think that your core values are fixed. Core values are really mutable, and they have a lot of influence, I should say, on where we're at in our lives. Like, for instance, somebody may be in their 20s and their core values may be more aligned with their career, opposed to somebody who may be in their 50s and their core values may be more so aligned with their health or family. So I say that to say that your core values are going to be more so a reflection of where you are in the current moment. All right. Discover and define your core values. So, first and foremost, we're going to identify what matters most right now. So, if you didn't get the opportunity over the week to define or write down your core values, then please do so over this weekend because you're only going to be slowing down your progress by not defining what truly matters to you right now. So, it only takes 5 minutes, real quick, write those down. And then from that, you're going to ask yourself, what do I value most in my life right now? What brings me joy, peace, or purpose? What frustrates or upsets me? And what values are being violated? These are important because this is all going to align with your daily activity. For instance, if you're going into a work environment and your value is really respect, you value having a certain level of respect that you give to people and that you receive in return. But let's say in that work environment that respect is not being it's not being given in return. Does that align with your core values? Are you going to remain in an environment that does not respect who you are or value who you are? And sometimes this can be indirectly. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be a direct disrespect, you know? So I just think when we ask ourselves these questions, we have more clarity on the direction we need to take immediately. We're not wasting another year. We're not wasting 3 months. We're saying, hey, these are the steps that I need to start taking today to get to this destination. So that's what we start off with is the first one. Number one, identifying what matters most right now. So what matters most to you right now should be the foundation of your core values. Next, we're going to write down 5 to 10 words or phrases that resonate. An example: freedom, family, creativity, growth, honesty. Number two, we're going to define your top 3 core values. Review your list and group similar themes. Narrow it down to 3 values that feel most aligned with who you are and where you are right now. For example, family and connection, success and growth, honesty and authenticity. So, once we've gathered our core values, we want to like really sit down and look at these core values. Now, like I said, these 3 core values should really just be a reflection of where you are right now in your life. And now we're going to move on to the next step. Discover and define your core values. Number 3, boil it down to one core value. From your 3 core values, choose the one that feels most urgent or vital to pursue in this season of your life. So, the reason why we want to boil it down to one core value is because this is how we align with our purpose. Our purpose is rooted in the one core value. So, the 3 core values are set up to be the baseline, the framework. Whenever you feel as though, is this a part of my brand? Do I align with this? You have to come back to those 3 core values. And I find myself doing this a lot. Like if I want to collaborate with somebody or if I want to align with a podcast or anything, I have to ask myself, does this even align with my core values, my brand? And then it makes it a lot more easier for you to align with that particular niche that you want to be a part of. So this is why I feel like discovering and defining your 3 core values is really the secret to really knowing yourself, because now you're not in the dark. Now you're not just moving and trying to figure it out, trying to figure out, is this job my purpose? Is this my purpose? No, you know what your purpose is by narrowing down those 3 core values to the one core value. And that's what matters the most to you. So this is why core values are so essential, guys. I hate to really beat it in the way that I just did, but I really had no choice because I think that core values really get overlooked. And this is why so many people are just on autopilot in life. They don't really have direction. And it's mainly due to this primary point. So, oops, didn't mean to do that. So let's move on to the next point. Ask yourself, which value energizes me most right now? Which value do I need to focus on to feel aligned and fulfilled? So you also want to ask yourself that too, because I feel as though I had been spreading myself thin with a lot of interests that I had. And it wasn't that I wasn't passionate about them. It wasn't that I wasn't enthused or anything. It was the energy that it took to do it. And for instance, I'm gonna give you guys some context. It was really doing uh long form blog edits and things like that. But I wasn't just doing it for myself, I was doing it for other people as well. So I was doing long form content, blog style, things like that. And I like doing media, anything related to digital media, I really enjoy doing. However, I noticed that this was draining me of energy. It wasn't really giving me energy. I may have been energized in the beginning in the pursuit of actually doing it, but over time I had burnout. So what it showed me was is that I enjoyed the creation process more than I enjoyed the editorial process. So I think that you have to find certain things that really energize you all around. And sometimes that, can be something that may seem boring, but when you get into it, you'll discover new things that might keep you enthused by doing it. So I just think that you really want to find something that gets you going, something that's going to get you up out of the bed every single day and say, "Hey, I really want to do this by any means necessary." And to me, that's really a good start because nobody really has to force you to do it. Next is, which value do I need to focus on to feel aligned and fulfilled? So also just focusing on what value right then and there could you focus on right now that's going to bring fulfillment. So if you have a goal to be more physically fit, what goals or what lifestyle changes can you take immediately right now to start aligning yourself to feeling like, hey, I'm getting closer to that result? So that's essentially how we want to set up our lives, is setting the small goals and small actions to align with the bigger goals and things that we want to accomplish. Our next point, use your core values as a guide. Keep your three core values visible. An example, a journal, phone wallpaper. Return to them. Feel stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure of your next step. Allow your one focus value to drive your actions and decisions in the present. All right. So, something that I personally do, I don't know if you guys can still see my screen, but yeah, I think you can. Yeah, you can see my screen. So on my screen, if you can see it, this is just my vision board. These are all things that I want to manifest. And yeah, in a way, some of my core values and a little bit extra. But I'm just showing you guys that I always keep my vision board or my core values close. I don't, just leave my core values or the things I want to manifest to chance. Like I really try to set my environment up as much as I possibly can. So that's something that you all can do too right now. Like today, you can just create a vision board that's digital and put it on your wallpaper, put it on your your laptop, wherever you need to put it. But make something that's visual that you can see every single day that represents your core values. So that's another thing that we're going to implement. And next, allow your one focus value to drive your actions and decisions in the present. So, yeah, really just allowing that purpose to really be the main driving, motivating factor for me, for instance. Really starting the Conscious Creator Academy and being able to expand into something much larger is my main focus right now. So I'm not focused on any other side projects or anything like that. All of my attention is going into my main core value right now, which is the conscious creator and getting other people, to have more knowledge of self. So for me, I feel as though when you start to align every single day with that core value, your magnetism grows as well during that journey. So if that's something, that you want to have more momentum in, you have to take it more serious every single day. It's not something that you could take a day off. It's something that you have to do every single day. So let's move on to our next point. By focusing on what matters most now and revisiting your core values for clarity, you create a compass for your personal growth and purpose. All right. So before we get into this next part, I don't know if anybody is familiar with astrology. This may be your first time ever learning about astrology, but astrology has played a huge role in my life. And I'm not the deepest into astrology, so I don't want anybody listening to this to think that they have to go all in on understanding astrology. You don't. You really just need to understand the basics of astrology. And that's what I want week one to be an introduction of, really getting you all familiar with different systems, because there are many different systems that we can use to manifest the life that we want. Astrology just being one of them. Now, when it comes to astrology, it can get real complex. And this is why I have given you all an introduction to astrology to understand the different types of astrological systems. So let's get into it. Astrology is an ancient system for understanding cosmic influence on human life. The first type of astrology that ever existed was ancient Mayan astrology, which was rooted in their complex calendar systems. It tracks celestial events to align human activities with divine timing. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the whole 2012 end of the world theme and all of that, but all of that really spiraled out of the Mayan astrology calendar. So if we think that astrology hasn't been around or hasn't been influencing us in some type of way, or the psyche of the collective in some human type of way, then we need to really look at that moment, because in 2012, everybody thought that the world could possibly come to an end. So I'll say that to say that astrology does have some sense of authority in the minds of people. The next form of astrology is Vedic astrology, which originated in India. It emphasizes karma, dharma, and spiritual growth using a sigil zodiac system. Now, Vedic astrology, in my opinion, is probably the most accurate form of astrology. Reason being is because it deals directly with the position of the stars at the exact date and time. Whereas other astrology systems go more so off of a fixated time construct. So, although sometimes constellations may regress and things like that, Vedic astrology keeps up with all of these things. So, even in Vedic astrology, your sun sign could be different in Western astrology. And for me, I can say that is true. My sun sign is different in Vedic astrology than it is in modern Western astrology. So, if you want to get a little bit more in depth, Vedic astrology, if you want to take it like super serious, Vedic astrology, but I feel as though you can use whatever system feels comfortable for you. The next one is modern Western astrology, popularized in the Hellenistic period. It uses the tropical zodiac to focus on personality and psychological insight. Now, this is the most familiar astrology system that's being used right now. Most people know Western astrology. And Western astrology is still good because we live in a Western world. Our days of the week correspond to Roman gods. So to me, I think that Western astrology should be practiced more, because it's like living in a country, but you're choosing to speak a different language. Like if you was living in America and the predominant language is English, but you're choosing to speak Arabic. To me, that's what it's like practicing a different form of astrology when you live on that particular side of the world. So, I mean, it's really up to you all, but me personally, I just prefer Western astrology because more people are familiar with Western astrology and we live on the Western side of the hemisphere. So, next is astrology connects celestial movements to our inner and outer experiences, offering a blueprint for self awareness and purposeful living. All right, so before we get into breaking down the actual zodiac signs and things like that, I just want to give you guys a brief. Now, with astrology, astrology is an ancient science that has been used since the beginning of times. You can use astrology for relationships, you can use astrology for manifestation of purpose, career, anything that you can really think of, you can use astrology. And I just really wanted to give you all that insight because I don't want you all to just think that this is just something that we're going to breeze over. We're going to really get in depth into astrology. So I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. Intro to astrology, zodiac signs, modalities, elements, and oppositions. Modalities are action styles. First, cardinal, initiators. This is going to be your Aries, your Cancers, your Libras, your Capricorn. These are your leaders. These are starters of new cycles. Now, cardinal signs, or cardinal energy is to me what I have observed. They're the children of the zodiac. This is like the age of 0 to 6 or 7 years old. And I use these analogies so you all can better understand where I'm coming from. So when you start to even look in reality and you can start seeing certain people that may have these sun signs, they give off this kind of energy. Like, for instance, I can use a few examples with just the cardinal energy alone. The most famous people, most celebrities in the world are cardinal signs. They're either Libra or Aries. When you think about a lot of the celebrities from Will Smith, Snoop Dogg, Cardi B, I could go on for days. A lot of these people are cardinal. And it's because when you think about a child doesn't really think about what other people are thinking about what they do. They just do it. So this is why the cardinal energy is special because it's an initiator. It doesn't really care what anybody is thinking, what anybody will do. It's just doing what makes it happy. So with cardinal energy, we can really use cardinal energy to manifest and self-start things that we really want in our life. Next, number two is our fixed stabilizers. Your Taurus, your Leo, your Scorpio, your Aquarius. This energy is persistent and maintainers of stability. Now, fixed signs are grounded, they're rooted, they're strong, highly opinionated. You can't really break a fixed sign. It's hard to really change somebody that has a fixed energy in whatever it is that they believe. But with the fixed energy, it's good because these people make good leaders. They make good people to depend on, to rely on, because they're not wavering. They're really fixated until somebody brings on something new for them to learn or observe. So I think when we work with our fixed energy, this is the energy that we're mustering up, but we need to also understand that things change. And I think that is one of the cons about a fixed energy is that things change. But on the contrary, when we look at the fixed sign, they are the teenagers of the zodiac. And the reason why I say that fixed signs are the teenagers of the zodiac is because they're the cool kids. Everybody looks to the fixed signs because they're not changing. They're the ones that's fixated on what they do, how they feel, and that's a power in itself. So when we talk about fixed energy is really just the cool kids. And I can give you a few examples of some fixed sun signs. You have Bob Marley is a fixed sun sign. He's an Aquarius. Changed the whole world when it came to music and love. Michael Jordan, also a fixed sign, changed basketball. I can go on for days when it comes to these comparisons and things like that. But I use these as examples so you all can see that astrology is really prevalent in all things. It's not something that is really pseudo. And when we really start to get into science and what the essence of science is observation. So when you use these sciences to observe patterns, you start to see how factual that they really are and why society does not want a lot of people to tap into this type of knowledge and wisdom. So let's move on to the next one. Three, mutable adapters. This is your Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces. Flexible brings transitions. Now, when it comes to mutable, these are the elders, these are the adults. These are, to me, the people who have really honestly mastered the energy. And now they're using this energy for a greater cause in this lifetime. So when it comes down to being mutable is just really being curious, learning. Mutable means you're moving. So when you think about Gemini, Gemini is an air sign, always moving, always on the go. And you think about Virgo, Virgo is always being dexterous. Sagittarius, always on the up, always seeking higher knowledge. Pisces, always seeking emotional depth. So I'm breaking these down for you all so you can see the correlation, the correspondence, and how these energies work and how we can tap into them as we discover who we are more in depth. So let's move on to our next point. Now, our next point is elements, personality, style. So every zodiac is governed by element or is an element. And we're going to start with the first one, which is fire, passion. These are your Aries, your Leos, your Sagittarius. This energy is energetic, creative, and action oriented. Now, for those of you who may be one of these signs or have any of these signs in your chart, when it comes down to these energies, these fire energies, you really want to work with these energies from a, I would say more so from a wise martial artist perspective. Because when you think about fire, fire is really a dangerous element. People don't play with fire. So I think when you approach the element of fire, you really have to approach the element of fire from a serious position because this is a starting element. This is like the start of something, like something is going to get born out of this. So when we approach fire, I just think that we should really be mindful of what it is that we want to ignite. And that's what Aries is about. Aries is about how can we ignite something new. And then you also have Leo, which is how can I be a leader? And then you have Sagittarius, which is how can I be a steward? How can I become a better emperor? So this is like the evolution that we see even through astrology. The signs evolve into each other. And this is something that I don't really see a lot of astrologers talk about, and mainly because everybody is so concerned with going super deep on astrology and all of these other topics, and people haven't grasped the basics yet. And this is why I feel as though it is important for you to learn the basics of knowledge itself. Because when we learn the basics of knowledge itself, now we're a lot more grounded. Now we have a better foundation. It's not shaky, and it's really rooted in truth. Next, two, Earth, practicality, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, grounded, reliable, focused on material reality. So when we think about earth signs bring the practicality. They bring the foundation. The they bring the grounding that we need. And without a foundation, you don't have anything to land on. And I think that when we're working with this energy, it's important that we really embody ourselves with the earth, because I feel as though like when you're working with earth and you don't really touch the earth, then you don't really get to feel it. So I feel like when you're working with earth energy, it's good to really ground yourself, go outside in nature, put your feet in some grass, work with copper, do something, plant trees, do something that corresponds to that energy, in my opinion, when it comes to working with your earth energy. When you talk about Taurus, Taurus deals with beauty. So if you wanted to manifest more wealth into your life, Taurus is a good sign to work with because it's a feminine sign, it's an earth sign. When you talk about beauty, you talk about diamonds, you talk about gems, you talk about anything that's material and abundant. So when you can see the correspondences, now you understand how to actually approach not only the outer world, but the inner world as well. And this is why I'm expounding on them, because the things that we want that's outside of us, they have to take place and manifest, or the seeds have to be planted internally first. Essentially, that's what we want to do with our earth energy, is that we want to plant those seeds so we can have an abundance. And you can do that through your Taurus energy, your Virgo energy. Virgo deals with being virtuous. That's what Virgo represents, being virtuous. And to be virtuous means to have good morals, to have good character. Capricorn means to strive for the highest peak. So when you really start to get into these energies, as I said, you can see how they all correspond. Now, let me move on to my next point because we only really have an hour and I don't really want to take up too much time on one particular topic. Air, intellect, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. This sign is communicative, curious, idea driven. Now, when it comes to the air, intellect, I think we really want to ground ourselves in meditation. We want to ground ourselves in writing. We want to ground ourselves in verbal communication. So when you're working with the air element, Libra deals with one-on-one communication. How do you establish relationships with people? Aquarius deals with community. How are you when it comes to humanitarian efforts? Do you care about the larger collective? Gemini deals with a large collective, like we're talking broadcasts, TVs, televisions. How do you display yourself in that arena or in that environment? So a perfect example of an air sign is just Kanye West. Kanye West does really well with the way that he spreads his message, or another Gemini, Donald Trump. So I'm using these examples so you guys can see when you tap into these energies and wherever they're at in your chart, you can have the same influence. But if you're unaware, then you never really tap into the energy. Next, 4, water, emotion, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. This sign is intuitive, empathetic, emotionally driven. Now, when it comes to dialing into our water energy, we want to tap into the heart. We want to tap into how we actually feel. And we can get to that through writing. We can get through that through music. Anything that really connects us on a deep emotional level, water is going to bring us to that arrival. Now, when you talk about the water sign, Cancer deals with the home. How is your home? How is your womb? How do you nurture your home? When it comes to Cancer in the home, this is the sacred part of your being. Whether you have a physical home, whether this is your body, whatever you call home, you want to treat this as sacral as you possibly can. Next is Scorpio, which is also technically a sacral sign in essence, but it deals more so with the esoteric and the occult. But Scorpio is more so of the sign of the underworld, darkness, but self-transformation. How do you take some of your darkest times and darkest moments and transform them? Pisces is how do you evolve or transform from all of the pain, turmoils, ups and downs that life has thrown your way? How do you become better? How do you become more intuitive? So, like I said, when you look at the zodiacs in progression, you see that they all evolve into one another. And once we, as conscious creators, master the energy, then we become curators of our reality. Then we become stewards of other people that also need guidance, because there are so many individuals who do not have a sniff of this information. They don't care. They're unaware. So as long as they're unaware, you see how far off they're going to be. And we already discussed why core values was important. So if they don't even understand their core values, yet alone astrology, this is why so many people are lost in the world. So these are the elements. We're going to move on to the next one. Next, oppositions, balancing energy. Aries, Libra, self versus relationships. Taurus, Scorpio, security versus transformation. Gemini, Sagittarius, details versus big picture. Cancer, Capricorn, home versus ambition. Leo, Aquarius, personal expression versus collective focus. Virgo, Pisces, perfection versus surrender. Now, when it comes down to the oppositions, this is the balance of energy. This is the yin and the yang. You have an opposition somewhere in your life, guys. Whether it's your parents, whether it's your siblings, your best friend, your spouse, somebody is your opposition in this life, because every hero needs a villain. And that's what we have to understand about life. Life is a story. There's a novel story being told where you're either the hero or you're the villain. But either way, you have an opposition. And you need to figure out who that opposition is, what that oppositional energy is, and how to harmonize with it. Because that's all life is about. It's about who can harmonize and who can balance and who can remain balanced. So, studying these oppositions, you see how and why they are oppositions. So when you say Aries, Aries deals with the self. That's technically what we're talking about right now, knowledge of self. But its opposition would be Libra. which deals with relationships. This is one-on-one interactions, how you deal with other people. So now you see why these things go in tandem. If you don't have knowledge yourself, Aries energy, when you go to actually establish relationships with other people, you may struggle because you have not done the actual self discovery journey. So, this is why I wanted to put the oppositions, balancing energy, because this is also another thing that I don't see a lot of people in the spiritual or astrology community expound on. And in later videos on my YouTube, I will be breaking down these concepts way more in depth so you all can see facts of people who have actually harnessed this energy to manifest their reality. I'm talking about real prominent people. Next, understanding the 12 houses. Each house corresponds to a specific life area. Use this guide to interpret them. First house, self, identity, appearance, and how others perceive you. Reflect, how do I express myself to the world? Second house, values, money, possessions, and personal values. Reflect, what do I value most, and how do I attract abundance? Third house, communication, learning, siblings, and local connections. Reflect, how do I communicate and connect with my environment? Fourth house, home, family, roots, and emotional foundation. Reflect, what makes me feel safe and nurtured? All right. So I won't be able to go through all of the houses because there's other things that we need to talk about. But in brief, when it comes to the houses are the other side, in my opinion, to the inner planets. So we're going to discuss the inner planets, but right now we're just discussing the other side. You have night and you have day. So the 12 houses is what the planets and all of these things go through. However, you may not always have a planet in every house. So you also want to pull up your birth chart and look to make sure you have certain placements in whatever, because you may not always have a planet in a house. So this is why I did want to talk about the houses before I jumped into anything else as well. Fifth house, creativity, romance, self-expression, and joy. Reflect, where do I find inspiration and fun? Sixth house, health, daily routines, work, and well-being. Reflect, how do my habits support my health and productivity? Seventh house, relationships, partnerships, marriage, and close connections. Reflect, how do I build meaningful relationships? Eighth house, transformation, shared resources, intimacy, and rebirth. Reflect, what areas of my life need transformation or healing? Ninth house, expansion, travel, higher learning, and spirituality. Reflect, how do I seek wisdom and expand my horizons? 10th house, career, public image, achievements, and goals. Reflect, what legacy do I want to leave? 11th house, community, friendships, social networks, and dreams. Reflect, how do I contribute to the collective? 12th house, subconscious, intuition, solitude, hidden strengths. Reflect, what do I need to release to grow spiritually? All right, so those are the 12 houses. If you all want to spend more time understanding the 12 houses, you can. Me personally, I think that this is really where astrology gets interesting. And that's the journey. Like, don't get me wrong, the planets and all of that stuff is cool. But when you get into the houses, to me, that's where it gets a little bit more interesting. So I personally advise anybody to really get into the houses and understand a lot of the placements that you have in your houses, because there's a lot of information and knowledge about you that can be revealed through understanding your houses. Next, practical method to explore inner astrology. So the first thing that we're going to do is generate your natal chart. You can do this by using an online tool like cafeastrology.com. All you have to do is input your birth date, time, and location for accurate chart. Now, this is important, guys. When you go to Cafe Astrology, you do have to input the birth date, the time, and the location. If you do not do it, it will not give you the houses. So this is why I was saying what I was saying previously about the houses. Because if you just do it the regular way, or you go to any other website, they're just probably going to give you your interplanetary placements and things like that, but they may not give you the houses. So, personally recommend Cafe Astrology right here. That's the best website. Next, understand the seven inner planets and chakra correspondences. Each planet reflects a unique aspect of your personality and life path, linked to a specific energy center. Your rising sign is the first impression you give off, the mask you wear in the world. It's how others see you, even before they get to know you. Linked to the root chakra, it represents stability, survival, and how grounded you are as you step into any space. Ask yourself, how do I show up? Do I feel secure in who I am? So, your rising sign is really just going to be how you appear to others. When you walk into a room, what is the vibration that you give off? Somebody may be like, hey, you look like you might be a Pisces. And that might be because your Pisces is rising, but you might actually just be a Libra. So your rising is how other people really see you. It's not necessarily how you see yourself. Next is the sun, core identity, solar plexus chakra. The sun is your essence, your ego, your light. It's who you are at a core, your purpose, and your personal power. Connected to the solar plexus chakra, it's where confidence, willpower, and self worth live. Ask yourself, am I living in alignment with my true self? What fuels my fire? Now, when it comes down to the sun, this is what everybody focuses on. This is where everybody gets caught up in their own self narcissism, is their sun sign. And the reason being is because it's the only thing that they can put their consciousness towards. They can't expand their consciousness beyond just their sun sign. I don't know why that's so hard for so many people, but I blame society. But when you can expand beyond this and you can take your peripheral to broader, to understanding all of the aspects of yourself, then that's when you really start to expand. But the sun sign is really your ego. It's your light. It's who you are. It's your personality. And I think that that's what makes the sun sign so cool, is the fact that it's like it's your persona. It's who you are. It's how you show up. It's the mask that you put on when you go out in the world, really, because a lot of times when you go home, that's really not who you are. So the sun is just really what you want other people to see and how you want people to actually consciously perceive you. Next is the moon, emotions and intuition, sacral chakra. Your moon sign is your emotional world, instincts, and inner child. Linked to the sacral chakra, it governs your feelings, creativity, and relationships with pleasure. This is where you nurture yourself and process life. Ask yourself, how do I honor my emotions? Do I allow myself to feel and create freely? So when it comes down to your moon sign, this is your shadow self. This is who you are when you come home and you take off your shoes and you say, man, it's been a long day. This is who you are at a core. And a lot of times, the people that you feel most comfortable around are going to have this in common with you. So, for instance, let's say you had a moon in Scorpio, you will have more of an affinity to people who have Scorpio placements. And it's because that's who your shadow self is, that's who you are behind closed doors. So, when it comes to that, the moon, really understanding your shadow self is really important because that's who you are at the core. Next is Mercury, communication and mind, throat chakra. Mercury is your mind, your words, and how you process information. Tied to the throat chakra, it reflects your ability to speak your truth and express yourself with clarity. Ask yourself, am I communicating honestly and openly? Do my thoughts align with my voice? Now, Mercury is how you communicate. It's how we also travel as well. But when it comes down to Mercury, we really want to we really want to practice meditation. And the reason why I say that is because with Mercury, Mercury deals with the mind, but the mind also deals with your vocal, how you articulate. But before you actually articulate or speak anything, it starts with what you're thinking. But if you're not actually spending time in solitude to sort out the thoughts and things that you're thinking, you're going to have more of a scattered mind. So I think that if you want to work with the energy of Mercury, some good practices are meditation, writing, practicing verbal communication, because that's the only way that you're truly going to get better at it. For instance, I have Mercury and Leo. So this is why I talk very authoritative, guys. I don't want you all to think that like I'm always like this, but with me having Mercury and Leo, it does make me a lot more conscious of the way that I talk. So I'm just using that as an example for you all to see when you go look at your chart, where's your Mercury and how does that play? For instance, somebody may have Mercury and Libra. Like those are some of my favorite people to have discussions with because Mercury and Libra, they know how to have balanced conversations. I'm not talking too much or they're not talking too much. It's a balanced conversation. So that's the best example that I could use for Mercury. Next is Mars, drive and action. Mars is your ambition, energy, and primal instincts. It's how you take action. Linked again to the root chakra, it fuels your ability to survive, act, and pursue your desires. Mars gives you the fire to fight for what matters. Ask yourself, am I taking bold action toward my goals? What energizes or frustrates me? Now, Mars is your masculinity. This is the warrior. This is the knight in shining armor. This is when you ready to go defend yourself or have revenge on somebody. This is your Mars energy. It really just, how you pursue anything that requires action. So, with that being said, when it comes to Mars, I think that we really just have to have a healthy relationship with our masculinity. And the reason why I say a healthy relationship is because a lot of us that grew up in the Western world weren't really shown healthy examples of masculinity. Let's just say that. So when it comes down to expressing our masculinity, we have to figure out in which way is the most healthiest for everyone that's around us. And I'm just putting that precaution out there because I don't want anybody thinking that, you have to become this toxic masculinity force to embody your Mars energy. You don't. Masculinity is just really being a provider, being a protector, being somebody who's wise, who thinks before they act. So I think that when we approach Mars, it's really about thinking before you act and knowing exactly what you want to accomplish through that action when you step into your masculinity. So that's the best way that I could break down Mars for you all without, being too toxic. Next is Earth, presence and grounding, heart chakra. The earth represents your physical reality and presence in the world. Tied to the heart chakra, it reminds you to stay grounded and connected to the beauty of life. Earth asks you to find balance between giving and receiving love. Ask yourself, am I present in my day to day? How do I nurture my relationship with life and others? Now, when it comes to astrology, you don't really hear people talk about Earth in astrology, but I'm like, why don't people talk about Earth in astrology when you live on the Earth? You should, right? But Earth is actually governed by the zodiac sign Taurus. So this is why it corresponds to the heart chakra because Taurus corresponds with the heart chakra as well. So when you're working with just your energy being on earth, one of the primary things you need to embody is love. And I really see the benefit of that every single day that I'm out in the world. The more that I live my life in love that I'm giving, the more that I'm also receiving. And that's not just in one way, that's in financial, that's in my compassion, in anything. So the universe is really kind of just like, yo, you're not going to get what you don't put out. So essentially, if you want to, receive more of anything, you have to put out more of that to attract it. So I think that's the dopeness about being an existent on earth is that, all things attract based upon our heart chakra. So that's earth. Next is Venus. Venus is love and values, heart chakra. Venus is love, relationships, beauty, and what you value most. Also aligned with the heart chakra. It opens you up to connection, compassion, and pleasure. It's where you find harmony. Ask yourself, how do I express love? Do my values align with how I live and connect? Now, when it comes to Venus, Venus is our feminine energy, also connected to the heart chakra, also corresponding with Libra, beauty, dance, the arts. So you can see also in some lore, they say that Venus and the earth are brothers and sisters. That's what they say. But you see the correspondence. And when it comes to Venus, Venus deals with our femininity, how we want to be treated, the gifts that we want people to bring us. Now, when it comes down to your Venus energy, I really feel as though you need to just embody your femininity as a whole. And the same goes with your masculinity. But you really need to embody your femininity because femininity is how we create, is how we expand, it's how we attract. So if you want a lot of things to manifest in your life, you really need to start working with your Venus energy because Venus deals with the energy of attraction. So Venus also corresponds to our love relationships. It corresponds to the way that we dress, the way that we express. So a lot of, how can I put it? A lot of knowledge itself can be extracted from Venus. That's the best way that I could put it because Venus is going to connect us with that heart, that depth. And when we do that, it shows in our art, it shows in our writing, it shows in our actions. So if you really want to connect with yourself, Venus is a good place to start as well. Next, Jupiter, growth and expansion. Third eye chakra. Jupiter is your teacher, your opportunity for growth and abundance. It expands your vision of life. Linked to the third eye chakra, it's about wisdom, insight, and seeing beyond what's in front of you. Ask yourself, where am I being called to grow? How do I trust the bigger picture? Now, when it comes to Jupiter, Jupiter is the biggest planet. It's said to be the grandfather of all of the planets. And I believe that Saturn was older than Jupiter. I'm not quite sure. Don't get me to confusing the two, but Jupiter and Saturn go back. But right now, let's focus on Jupiter. Jupiter is really just about your career, your expansion, growth, opportunity. The zodiacs that correspond with Jupiter are Pisces and Sagittarius. So a lot of luck, a lot of favor can be found when we work with our Jupiter energy. And honestly, I think that this is where we need to start when it comes down to identifying our purpose, because your purpose is going to be more favorable with Jupiter's placement. So let's say, for instance, you had Jupiter in Virgo. Jupiter in Virgo makes you dexterous, practical, a teacher. So with somebody having Jupiter in Virgo, they may be more prone to getting into practices that deal with teaching. So what I'm saying is that when you look at the Jupiter energy and what planet or what zodiac you have there, it's showing you where you will excel with little to no effort. So this is why if you want to expand a lot more faster, live in purpose a lot more sooner, work with this Jupiter sign because it will really give you the direction on what are the best avenues for you to take that you will have success with little to no effort. Next is Saturn. Saturn is discipline and life lessons. Crown chakra. Saturn is structure, responsibility, and the lessons your soul must master. Connected to the crown chakra, it aligns you with divine purpose and teaches you patience, mastery, and legacy building. Ask yourself, what are my greatest life lessons? How can I commit to my purpose with discipline? Now, Saturn is here to make sure you get in line. Saturn corresponds with Aquarius and Capricorn, and with good reasoning, because Aquarius deals with the air, freedom, Capricorn deals with the law, time, constructs. So, how I look at the dualities in astrology, one is spiritual and one is mundane. So, with Aquarius corresponding to Saturn, that's the freedom that we all desire. We all have a desire to live a free life. However, the construct that's set up through Capricorn, it provides the laws that we must obey in order to live the life within this construct. So this is why Saturn is such a powerful planet. Saturn is represented by all of the organizations around the world in some capacity. They all associate themselves with Saturn because they believe that Saturn is the ruler of our realm. So if you want to empower yourself, you need to develop discipline and patience and mastery. Saturn is actually going to be your best friend. And in astrology, a lot of times Saturn gets a bad reputation, but Saturn is actually known as a mother like figure, a grandmother like figure to teach you a lesson. So when we really develop these relationships with the planets, we really start to see our place in the universe as children. We're here to learn. We're here to learn new lessons and to teach and to spread and to grow into our highest potential, but only if we are willing to be teachable, disciplined, patient, and masters of our craft. So those are the planets. In short, your planets are your gods. Your chakras are the energy centers that hold them. And you are the bridge between both worlds. By aligning these cosmic forces within yourself, you can step fully into your highest potential. The universe didn't make a mistake when it made you. Let the planet show you why. All right, guys. So now we only got about 9 more minutes left. I won't go over all of the life paths, but I will touch up on some of the life path energy. What is a life path number? Your life path number is a core element of numerology, offering insights into your purpose, strengths, challenges, and the themes you're here to explore. It's like a spiritual blueprint that helps guide your journey through life. All right, so the reason why I added more with the life path because I know in the syllabus I didn't put life path. I did notice that I didn't. However, it was because I was only going to touch up on a life path. I wasn't really going to go in depth. But as I was making this outline sheet for you all, I asked myself, I said, but what if somebody just doesn't know what a life path is? What if this is their first time ever learning this information? And it made me go a little bit more in depth to give you all the basics so you don't have to go anywhere else. It's all here. So even when you want to come back to it, it's all here. So this is why I put all of the life path numbers and how to actually discover your life path right here for you so you don't got to go anywhere to do it. The first thing that we're going to do when it comes to discovering your life path is write down your birth date. So you need to write down the format and then you need to add the digits together. Example, if your birthday is July 24th, 1990, write it as 7/24/1990. Reduce each part separately. Month, 0 plus 7 equals 7. Day, 2 plus 4 equals 6, and so forth. Add the results together. Month, 7. Day, 6. Year, 1 equals 14. Then 1 plus 4 equals 5. Final number, your life path, 5. Now, the reason why I wanted to break down a life path is because I feel as though the life path is the narrow path, it's the straight path. It's also where our greatest strength lies. And the more that I've been studying over the past year or two, the life path, I've been seeing a real common denominator with people who share the same life path. So this is why I added this into the second round of the Conscious Creator Academy, is because I seen the importance that the life path does play on one's destiny. Now, let's just get into the life path numbers. Master numbers 11, 22, 33. If your result is 11, 22, or 33, do not reduce it further. These are considered master numbers with heightened spiritual significance. Key tip, your life path number represents the overarching energy of your life. Reflect on how its themes resonate with your current path and decisions. Now, I've put every life path number on here for you all. So if you want to go through the life path numbers on your own time, feel free. I highly recommend you all do the life path number as well. You don't have to do it all at once. You could just start with your astrology chart if you want to, come to the life path later. However, I still strongly recommend everybody do the life path number. And the reason being is because you have a life path number. Your siblings have a life path number. Your children might have a life path number. Your spouse has a life path number. And you need to understand their life path number and yours so you can even know if y'all are in harmony and why there may be a form of disharmony. So this is why a lot of these energies matter, is because they either create harmony or they create disharmony in our lives. And then what we find ourselves doing is trying to force the situation with people because we have no knowledge of self. So feel free to go through the life paths. I put every life path 1 through 9 all the way till 33. So your life path number reveals your soul's journey. By understanding its lessons, challenges, and strengths, you can step into your purpose with clarity and confidence. Your path was written in the stars. Now it's time to walk it. Self inventory, practical methods for strength and growth, for strengths and growth. Identify strengths. First, what we're going to do is list 3 skills, qualities, or achievements you can excel at the end and feel proud of. So, first, what we want to do, guys, is just write 3 things that we can do over, let's say, the next 2 weeks that align with where we see ourselves, that align with our core values, etc. So just start small. And the reason why I say that is because if you don't start small, you try to start big and then you end up starting over. And then after that, you don't want to do it again. So even if you just do one quality or one achievement, that's completely fine. But the point of this is just to get started, guys. Next, recognize challenges. Write down 2 to 3 areas where you struggle or feel limited. This can be in the way you articulate yourself. This can be in your self-confidence. This can be in the way you show up at your workplace. It could be anything, but recognize the challenges and say, hey, I want to do something about that. I want to work on actually improving that area of my life. Next, transform challenges. For each challenge, brainstorm one actionable step to improve. An example, take a course, seek feedback, etc. So once you've recognized your challenges, now it's time to actually transform. And now that you've taken action, you need some type of feedback or somebody to hold you accountable or to examine to see how far you've at least come. So this can be a course, it can be having an accountability partner as your friend or whoever, but really just having somebody else to hold you accountable. And the reason why I say that is because if we just expect ourselves to hold ourselves accountable, we're going to be lying to ourselves for a long time. So this is why it's best to just get somebody else to hold you accountable or enroll in something that will hold you accountable. Next, 4, leverage strengths. Use your strengths to tackle challenges creatively and with confidence. So this is where you need to be all chips in on your strengths because this is what's going to make people gravitate towards you. So if you're a good writer, a good speaker, a good creator, expound on that. Start practicing that skill every single day because this is what's going to help you create the new reality that you want for yourself. It's only going to come through practice. It's not going to start when you quit your job, or it's not going to start when you get enough money. It's going to start right now, today. Next, reflect regularly to measure growth and adjust strategies. Self discovery, practical method for self discovery practice. 1, choose your practice. Select one practice that resonates. This can be journaling, this can be arts and crafts, this can be meditation. Now, me personally, I recommend all 3, but if you wanted to just start somewhere, I think journaling is a good place because journaling is like both. It's the medium between the mind and writing. And you can get some creative stuff in there too as well. But just really figuring out which practice best suits where you are right now for getting your engine going. I'm not saying that you have to choose one, but just whatever one gets you really going. Next, set a routine. Dedicate 10 to 20 minutes daily to your chosen practice, ensuring it's done consistently. Now, me personally, when I get up in the morning, I get up around, this might sound crazy, but I get up around 3 or 4 every morning. And it's not like something that I want to do, it's just something that my body is conditioned to do. But when I get up, the first thing that I do is either meditate or I journal. And it's something that's just instinctive and it feels right in that time, in that moment. I don't really feel led to journal or meditate at night or in the middle of the day. So for me, I just think as long as you set a routine that feels comfortable for you, whether that's night, day, morning, whatever works for you, just stick to it and make sure that it's something that is it's actually like a relief. It's not a burden. And I think that that's what's helped me stick to a routine that's actually worked for me and not work against me, is by actually implementing the routine at a period where I feel the time is right. Next, reflect and connect. Use the time to explore your thoughts, feelings, and creativity. Let the practice guide you towards deeper self awareness and growth. So, really use these practices, guys, to go deeper. And honestly, like, this is what's really been helping me expand on my knowledge and understanding, is using these practices to go deeper. Meditation really helps me gain clarity first thing in the morning. So when I go to take action in a day, I know exactly what my top three priorities are for that day. And if I don't do them, then yeah, I know that, I may have fell short. So I just think that when we have clarity, then our direction in life is a lot more accurate. So I would really just encourage you guys to spend some time reflecting and connecting as much as you possibly can until our next meeting, which probably won't be until week 4, actually, in the physical, because I see the next 2 weeks are days right after the holiday. So the next actual live session that we'll do is the last live session, week 4. But through week 2, week 3, still just keep up the same repetitive nature, setting routines and things like that. Now, week 1 task. Task 1, knowledge of self. Task for week 1, knowledge of self. Number 1, core values exercise. Reflect on fulfilling and challenging moments in your life. Write down 3 core values that resonate most with you and journal how they guide your decisions. So first we're going to do our core values. You can journal how you feel, things like that, meditate, whatever suits your boat. I don't want to make this harder than what it needs to be, guys. I want this to be as simple as possible. 2, astrology insight. Generate your natal chart, research your sun, moon, and inner planets. Write a brief summary of how these placements reflect your personality and life path. Now, if you do this through the website that I gave you, Cafe Astrology, it's going to provide all of that for you. You really don't even have to break down any of the placements. Is going to give you a description on every placement that you have in your chart if you use Cafe Astrology. However, you can reflect on those breakdowns and write your own correspondence and how you feel about it, but you don't really have to. The main focus is just really generating your natal chart and looking at those inner planets and seeing how you can capitalize on those inner planets. Next, 3, daily practice. Choose one self discovery practice, whether that's journaling, meditation, or a creative expression, and commit to it for 10 to 15 minutes daily. Reflect on any insights or shifts you notice throughout the week. So that's it, guys. That's week 1. And we got through it with, I was only over 1 minute. I'm gonna let Kanisha speak. If you have anything that you want to say, Kanisha, before we go, you can turn on your mic. If you got anything you want to say or any questions, feel free.
Thank you so much. That was actually really helpful. I was looking for something to keep me on track because I get distracted very easily, and this is helpful. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. I look forward to hearing from your growth and your progress, and I hope hopefully that you can take this system from today and implement it into week 1, and we'll talk soon.
Hmm.
All right. Take care. Have a great day.
You too.